think of Quirky Taiwan, what comes to mind?
Singing karaoke in taxis! Stash did that recently.
That's what I heard. We'll be talking about that and Quirky Taiwan in today's show. I'm Natalie Tso.
And I'm Andrew Ryan. First, let's check out the stories on our radar!
Taiwan may begin administering its first COVID-19 vaccines next week. That was the word from Health Minister Chen Shizhong on Wednesday, about a week after Taiwan's first batch of COVID-19 vaccines arrived. Medical workers will be the first to receive the vaccine. A long-awaited COVID-19 travel bubble between Taiwan and the Pacific island nation of Palau could become a reality before the end of the month, officials say. Palau's ambassador to Taiwan also says that once the two sides have agreed on the fine details of the bubble, Palau's president, Serengel Whips Jr., will take the first flight to Taiwan for a visit. Taiwan has also had contact with Singapore, Vietnam, and Japan about the possibility of a travel bubble. Taiwan's indigenous peoples have launched a campaign for their hunting rights, a tradition they say has long been misunderstood by society. Their call came Tuesday as justices were holding a debate over the constitutional interpretation of a case involving a man from the Puyuma tribe. The man was sentenced to 3.5 years in prison after shooting protected animals in 2013. Taipei Fashion Week is here, and it's the first live fashion week in the world this year amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. The Culture Ministry launched the event, showcasing an autumn-winter collection along the theme of sustainability. At last week's press conference, Taiwanese designers put on a mini fashion show to preview what's to come.
How would you describe Taiwan in one word, Andrew?
One word? Can I have 50?
Sure, right now.
How about a book? I would say colorful.
Colorful, that's a great word.
And not just like colors, but also like sounds and smells and
That's
flavors.
right.
It's a very vibrant place.
It is. I recently spoke with Joshua Samuel Brown. He's a colorful person. He's the Lonely Planet travel writer for Taiwan. He's a travel expert on Taiwan. He loves Taiwan. He spent many years here. Now he's back in the U.S. and he recently came out with a comedy novel set in Taiwan called Spinning Karma. And I asked him why he wanted to set a comedy in Taiwan.
People in Taiwan are very funny. I mean, from the tourist point of view, it's like, oh, this is a town that has cats in it. That's the thing, is you go there, get coffee, and they have a lot of cats there. Or this is a church that is shaped like a glass slipper. Like, I've never seen that anywhere else, but Taiwan, have you? You see people, you have garbage trucks that play Beethoven. It's For Elise. You have garbage trucks and recycling trucks that play music. This is not, and to Taiwan, people's like, oh, this is normal. This is just how it, but you don't have that anywhere else. Our garbage trucks don't play music here. I've never heard of any other country where the garbage trucks play music. People in Taiwan generally tend to, and I think this has to do with Buddhism, and this is why the subtitle of my book, Spinning Karma, is a Buddhist comedy. This book couldn't take place anywhere else because Buddhism is such an ingrained part of Taiwanese society. And it's also a more joyful kind of Buddhism, a more happy kind of Buddhism. And I'll give you an example, and I've written articles about this. Have you ever been to like a temple in Japan, a Shinto temple?
No, I haven't.
It's very serious. It's very serious. You go to a Shinto temple in Japan, you walk, some places you don't take pictures, and you move, and it's very serious. In Taiwan, it's a temple. Oh, they're cooking up food outside, and the aunties are there hanging out because they want to hang out there. People are playing mahjong out there, and come on in and look at stuff, take pictures, sure, whatever. There is a certain joyfulness and colorfulness to Taiwan, and it's intertwined with Taiwanese Buddhism that you don't find in other places. You asked me, why is Taiwan funny? And I use the word weird in the best way. I know that when I talk to Taiwan people, 很奇怪, 很奇怪, and 奇怪 has this maybe not good meaning, but what, maybe 幽默, what's the,
Quirky?
Teach me how to say quirky in Taiwanese.
Oh, I don't know. I have to think about that.
and that's why, because 奇怪 has that bad, it's a little bit weird, but no, I do like
调皮, like kind of fun and playful.
fun and yes.
A little bit naughty, I mean, a little bit, not in a bad way, but
Yeah,
playful.
like a kindergarten kid naughty, not like naughty.
Right.
That's all over the place. And like, when you walk around Portland, which is where I live now, people decorate their houses unusually around Christmas and around Halloween. But generally speaking, not all year round. But in Taiwan, people will decorate their spaces and their homes. And I can't tell you how many taxi cabs that I've gotten into. And I can't even remember how many, where there's something very unusual about this taxi driver. He has all little bobblehead dolls of like Bobby Shang. Yeah, but that's like an every week occurrence that some taxi driver who's got his taxi cab done in, I really like Godzilla, so I've got 1,000 little Godzilla dolls. And enjoy the taxi ride. I'm going to get you from point A to point B, but enjoy my little world for the half an hour that you're in my taxi. There are so many people in Taiwan who want to invite you into their quirky little worlds for a little while. And then when you come out, you're like, wow, that was interesting. I've never had a boring day in Taiwan. And that is, no matter where you go, any town, any city, any village in Taiwan, you will see people like that. You will see places like that. People who make their living spaces an extension of their own very unique vibe.
Do you agree that Taiwan can be quirky?
Oh, for sure. I think when you get that many people in such a kind of crowded place and people are bumping up against each other, all the personalities come out.
That's true.
Yeah.
They have to have their own style, right? In the way they live or do things or in their own taxi.
Yeah, you want to be heard above the noise, right?
That's true. And also, he said something really interesting. He said Taiwan is a place where foreigners with a bad childhood can come for a do-over.
A do-over.
A do-over for their child. They can be
That's
immature for a while,
interesting.
like teach English, and everybody's still really nice to them and accepts them. You're a foreigner. Do you feel that way?
I mean, it's hard for me to remember what
You
I
had
was
a
like.
nice
I had a
childhood.
very nice childhood. But I think that there are a lot of people who are running from something or running towards something. I mean, I think that there's something very interesting about that. But it is a very playful place. It's a place where you can kind of be a little bit, not childish, but like childlike. How's that?
You can be yourself, and
Yes.
people accept you.
Yes, absolutely.
So he also had a lot of great travel tips. So the whole interview will be up on YouTube and Facebook. Well, Staś is here to tell us about an unforgettable taxi ride. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I took a very special taxi ride, just me and my girlfriend yesterday, with a man called Tu Qingliang, who's probably better known as Taipei's karaoke taxi man. So yeah, take a look at the video.
Arriving half an hour early with 5 minutes notice, Tu Qingliang is waiting for us outside. We exchange formalities and get straight down to business. He asks what song we want to sing. We've come prepared. This is, after all, Taipei's famous KTV taxi. It's not my best performance. But Tu is unfazed. He's seen it all. He says he's been driving his taxi for 27 years and he's had the karaoke set up for the last 6. What gave him the idea? He says it's because he loves to sing, in every language. Tu tells me his English is terrible before breaking into a spontaneous rendition of Ed Sheeran. This taxi driver clearly isn't going to let his customers have all the fun. But the fun and the fame goes both ways with Tu. He claims to have launched the careers of more than a few pop stars and hosted a number of celebrities, including Taiwanese heartthrob Edward Chen. And Tu himself has featured in print and TV media from across the world. It's time for another song. We go for a classic. Mr. I'll make a man out of you. Surely this kind of business attracts some strange characters, I say. But Tu says he can afford to be picky. Most customers come to him. To ride in his taxi, he says, you need to be good looking and ready to sing. I tell him I'm flattered. We've arrived at our destination, but we can't resist one final song. It's an emotional number, and we're sad to be leaving. Somehow, though, I feel like this won't be the last I see of Tu Qingliang.
That is so funny. That's so much fun to watch. I mean, how was it for you sitting in the taxi and actually singing? Was it weird? Was it just kind of like one of those things that you do because, I mean, it's so unusual?
Yeah, I don't know. It was interesting. It didn't feel that different from being in the usual kind of KTV though. It just kind of felt like you just took it in your stride, I think.
I think it was scary when he started to sing, though. He was singing while he was driving.
This is the thing. I don't understand how he does it because the videos you see of me, he's taking that with a selfie stick.
No
he's
way.
holding it?
Yeah, he's holding it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he doesn't
wow.
have, surprisingly, given that he's done this for 6 years, he doesn't have a fixed camera.
But
So
I imagine he's different from most taxi drivers who are like on the way somewhere, right? They're going as fast as they can to get you there quickly and make some money. For him, it's more about the actual journey.
It's all about the journey. Yeah, it's about the friends you make along the way. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think he is. I mean, it was definitely a really long, meandering journey. I mean, we ended up at somewhere near kind of Taipei main station. But I chose that fairly arbitrarily, but it took us a long time. We actually ended up circling around Taipei Main to get the last song,
So this is one of those rides where you don't get angry if they take you for a ride.
Yeah.
Literally take you for a ride.
Yeah. And so he gives a discount as well if you sing, which is part
that's
of
how
the
it
kind of
works.
drive. I mean, he also says pretty clearly when I was interviewing him that if you don't sing, then he doesn't like you, and he won't and he won't deliver you to your location.
Oh wow, he'll bring you somewhere else.
Maybe, yeah, he'll drop you off somewhere else and see how you manage with that. But yeah, so he knocked off a bit of the price for me as well.
That's nice. Does he pick people up on the street too, or do you have
Yeah, so he does. So
Oh.
he says some people come to him, but a lot of the time he just finds people on the street. I mean,
That's hilarious.
Yeah, he's quite explicit that he goes for only the best-looking people. That
Oh wow,
Yeah.
wow, yeah. Well, clearly that's why he got you and your.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I booked, so I can't claim that. But I have actually had a friend who was, picked up more spontaneously, just walking around with a friend. Apparently he pulled up, kind of next to them in his taxi and said, "Lai, come in," and they were like, "Well, why not? This man's got something going."
Not weird at all. Now I'm curious to know, so the difference between this and like a karaoke booth is that actually people can see you. Can they also hear you? Do people on the street, they hear what's happening inside the taxi?
Yeah, they do hear what's going on. I don't know if he has a button or a switch where you can turn this on and off, but as far as I can tell, a lot of the sound is projected outwards as well. So I'm really sorry to all of the passers-by who are subjected to some of that singing.
Oh no, you sound like a good singer,
Thank you.
better than a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that's fun. Maybe we should do a future Taiwan Insider.
We should try that sometime.
Inside it, yeah. So there's one of the quirky things that you will find in Taiwan. Now, coming up in our brain game, I want to bring you to some temples around Taiwan. So, of course, Joshua Samuel Brown, earlier when he was talking about his new book, he said he based a Buddhist comedy?
A Buddhist and
in
political
Taiwan?
comedy.
Well, we're going to give you the Buddhist angle in our brain game today. Have a look. One of the most unusual places in all of Taiwan is this place. This is a temple dedicated to 17 men and a dog, as you can see there. Now, Natalie, Leslie, I think you both remember we have introduced this temple
We
before.
have.
Yes.
It was so touching, the story.
It was very touching. Now, that is just one of the many unusual temples that you can find in Taiwan. There are a lot of fascinating places, lots of quirky things happening there. So today I'm going to ask you about 4 temples that are very unusual. So on buzzer number 1, we have Natalie Tso. Buzzer number 2, we have Leslie Liao. Are you ready? All right. First question. There's a temple in Nantou in central Taiwan where the faithful worship a living thing that is more than 700 years old. What is it?
A tree? Oops.
That is
tree?
correct. You're right. It is a tree.
I was going to say giant clam.
Leslie.
Good imagination.
All right, let's have a look at this tree. So this is an old
Wow,
camphor
beautiful.
tree.
Giant tree.
And you can see it's actually leaning on something there on the left. They actually call that the tree god's cane. And they will actually worship this tree because it's so old.
Oh.
It's a giant tree. That's huge.
It's beautiful. A beautiful tree.
It is a beautiful tree, full of vitality. Question number 2. Many temples in Taiwan are guarded by lions. Now, there's a temple along the northern coast that's guarded by fish. Now, something even more unusual is the whole temple is covered in a very unusual material. What do you think that temple is covered in? Leslie?
Fish scales.
No.
Seaweed?
Not seaweed. You're going in the right direction. Yes?
Oyster shells.
Well, I'll give it to you. It is shells and coral.
Giant clam, don't fail me now.
Must look nice.
Have a look at this picture. So
wow.
the reason they did this is because they wanted it to look like an underwater scene for one of the Jade Emperor's disciples who was banished to the bottom of the ocean.
That's gorgeous.
That's
the fish
really cool.
guarding the temple even look like the lions that usually guard the temple.
Yeah.
They got the tusks.
It's the same feeling.
Very creative.
But it's very beautiful.
Wow.
Question number 3. Last September, devotees from 2 temples in Lugang in western Taiwan, they climbed to a very beautiful place called Jiaminghu. What did they bring with them? Leslie?
Their sculpture of Mazu?
Yes, that's correct. Have a look at this. So basically, they brought statues of both Mazu and Guanyin, so the goddess of mercy. Mazu is the goddess of the sea. It rained the whole way up there, but once they got to the top, the fog lifted, and then they prayed by the side of the river and prayed for an end to COVID-19.
That's nice. Wow.
Can you imagine bringing that up on your back?
That's
really
heavy.
big?
Heavy.
It's pretty heavy, yeah. All right, last question. Every year during the Lantern Festival, which just passed, devotees at a temple in Liao along the northern coast do something very different with their temple statues. What do they do with them? Leslie?
Dress them up?
They don't dress them up.
They make them into lanterns?
Nope. I'll give you a hint. So this is Liao, which is right next to the ocean. What do they do with the statues?
Give them a bath in the ocean?
They do.
Really?
Yes.
Nice.
Well, the point is they actually jump into the ocean with the palanquins with the statues on them. So they go for a running jump, land in the ocean, and this is basically it's sort of like cleaning up the harbor is what they're saying. It's their way of blessing or kind of, I guess, making the harbor fresh.
That's got to be tough on the palanquin, though. It's just the salt water's pretty erosive, I'd imagine.
I think they have a makeshift one.
Gotcha.
I don't think it's the actual
Gotcha.
palanquins and the temple statues.
Thinking way ahead of me.
So those are just some of the quirky things you'll find at temples here in Taiwan. Now that last one, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, they had to cancel the part where you jump into the water. But fortunately, we have some footage to show you what it looks like. Have a look.
For over 100 years, this is how it's been done, with a running start and a wild leap into the sea. In the seaside town of Liao on Taiwan's north coast, the Lantern Festival just isn't the Lantern Festival without a plunge into the local harbor. It's not just people jumping. The jumpers carry a god from a local temple in a palanquin. This event is called the Liao Harbor Purification Festival. It's thought to expel bad spirits and bring good fortune. While the plunge is still a religious event, jumpers these days tend to have fun with it.
Now, we've talked about people's names on hashtag Taiwan before, but I've got another one for you this week. And boy, is it a doozy. Now, you might be asking, what's the doozy? Is it the name, or is it the story behind the name? Well, you're just gonna have to judge for yourself. Let me give you a little background information. People's names in Taiwan are typically made up of 3 Chinese characters. Take mine, for example, Liao Cang Lei. Liao is my family name. Cang is my generational name. Every male in my family who is in the same generation as I am has Cang as the second character of their name. Finally, Lei is just my me name. Sometimes, a person's name will be only 2 characters, and that's considered relatively normal. Heck, 4-character names also pop up here and there. Anything past 4 characters, and it's likely you're indigenous, like Gula Si Yo Daka, or cabinet spokesperson Kolas Yotaka, who's a Mis. But the person I want to introduce to you today is not indigenous. Meet 47-year-old Huang Xinxiang. Oh wait, I'm sorry, that's actually his old name. He actually now goes by 黄大兰是喜神、财神、衰神、福德正神、所有神祝福的宝贝小心肝. At 25 characters, that is officially the longest name in all of Taiwan. And by officially, I mean it is legal and legit. The name means Huang Dalan is the blessed dear sweetheart of the god of joy, god of fortune, god of misfortune, and all other gods. Now that Ain't no name. That is a full-blown sentence with nouns, verbs, adjectives, the whole kit and caboodle. Huang said that he changed his name because he believes invoking the various gods will bring him good luck. But he also said he included the god of misfortune because life can't be all high points and you have to be ready to ride out the low points too. Huang said though that he'll just be going by the first 3 characters of his name, Huang Dalan, in public or on social media. Buddy boy, you try and put all 25 characters of your name into Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg himself is going to show up and ask, is this some kind of a joke? Huang's name is so long that when household registration staff issued him a new ID, they had to write his name in by hand because their system just couldn't handle that many characters. Can you imagine what it's like when this man goes to a coffee shop and the barista has to call out his name when his order is ready? What about when he goes to the hospital and it's his turn to see the doctor? I have enough trouble remembering names as it is. I hope I never meet this guy. I would tap out.
So a question for the day. What is something quirky about Taiwan that you're still not used to? Andrew?
All right. I'm going to say dog prams. That's people pushing their dogs around in strollers.
Oh, that's right.
Sorry, I'm guilty.
They totally pamper them. Really?
I push a dog
Are you
around.
serious?
I
I
know.
can't imagine that.
I do.
Pictures or it didn't happen.
Oh, I'll give you some. I'll give you some. Not on Taiwan Insider, but I'll give you some.
What about you, Leslie?
Mine is people's over-reliance on horoscopes to evaluate you as a person.
You've gotten that from dates?
Well, you could just meet someone for the first time and you can tell them what your birthday is and they'll be like, oh my goodness, you're one of those. You're like this and you're like that. And I'm like, I told you like one thing about me.
Yeah, as an American, I always think it feels so 70s. Like it feels like something happened in
It
the 70s.
does, right? So I'm still not used to that.
Don't tell people then.
No, avoid it.
So mine is the toilet restaurant.
Oh,
Have you guys heard of that?
Yes.
So I did a report on that once. Edible excretions.
So it's like chocolate ice cream, chocolate soft serve, and inside like what looks like a little mini toilet bowl.
It also has curry in a toilet bowl, and urinal
That's
with
the least
lemonade, all
appetizing
kinds
thing.
of stuff. It's very popular.
The food tastes okay too.
It's not too bad though. Yeah,
You guys have been.
I've been there.
I
did
can't
a
make it
report
past the
once.
entrance. Like they have that giant golden toilet out there, and I'm like, I can't.
So there you go. That is our show about Quirky Taiwan. And we would love to know what you think. Please leave a message below and tell us what you think is the quirkiest part of Taiwan.
Yes, and subscribe and like us. We love to hear from you. For Taiwan Insider, I'm Natalie Tso.
I'm Leslie Liao.
And I'm Andrew Ryan. Stay quirky.